Another running back who you are wondering about at this point, it's Aaron Jones. He's a very popular target in early rounds last season. But the Packers, when they brought in help for Aaron Rodgers, it was another running back. And it was the phenomenal A.J. Dillon, which means Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones, they're going to be fighting for everything that they can get. And that's not exactly great news for their fantasy stock.
Yeah, I think there are two big concerns here with Aaron Jones. The first one is how high they took A.J. Dillon, because he was a second-round pick, and you don't generally pick guys in the second round to have him sit on the bench. He's probably going to be playing a pretty decent amount. That's probably a bigger concern for Jamal Williams than it is for Aaron Jones, but it's also the type of touches that A.J. Dillon is going to get. Going back to the conversation we just had around Zach Moss, is where are the Packers going to go for the money carries toward the goal line? Because Aaron Jones was due for touchdown regression to begin with. He scored 19 total touchdowns last year. That number was going to come down just because it's hard to repeat an outlier type performance. But now you may take away some of those easy chances at touchdowns, which means the regression could be even more egregious for Aaron Jones here if A.J. Dillon does wind up being a goal line type back for this team. Now, Aaron Jones, I think the floor for him is still being the main receiving down back for this team and probably getting more carries per game than A.J. Dillon. But you take away some of those money carries and spread out that early down work even a bit more, and things get a little bit hazy. And once again, the Packers did not do a whole lot to address their skill position guys outside of A.J. Dillon, which means that the touchdown upside for this offense in general may be muted if they can't move the ball. So I think there are a lot of concerns here for Aaron Jones. Now, I think this is due for a word of caution here, that people could overreact to the addition of A.J. Dillon, because again, I think this impacts Jamal Williams more so than Aaron Jones. So while I was kind of okay selling low on Devin Singletary, I'd see what the market is for Aaron Jones. And don't overreact to this because, again, he's a very talented player. He's probably still going to get the passing down work, which is where he can be really good. So I don't think we need to necessarily abandon ship here. And if people are going to lowball you, don't bail. Hang on to Aaron Jones and see what happens. But it does at least necessitate seeing what the value is for Aaron Jones, seeing if you can get, good value in return, because the amount of draft capital spent in A.J. Dillon and the potential for even more harsh touchdown regression does scare me quite a bit with Aaron Jones.
Jim, at the beginning of that, you used a really good word. That was hazy. And that's what kind of this backfield for Green Bay is between Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones, and now A.J. Dillon. Those 19 touchdowns that you mentioned a few times there for Aaron Jones, they're not replicable. And you bring in A.J. Dillon, we're not exactly sure what his role is going to be, but you do know he's going to have a role. As you said, being a second-round draft pick, you're not drafted to sit on the bench. Yes, maybe Jamal Williams will be more affected, absolutely. But Aaron Jones is going to lose some carries as well. It's for the first time really ever that I can imagine, I don't want to invest in the Packers offense, which means, or invest heavily, I should say, in the Packers offense, which means we're going to pause and kind of wait and see how things play out. Of course, unless you get a draft day bargain.